it's Jenny. Desiray, Jahajifkados. I just wanted to Desiray, Jahajifkados. I'm trying to make sure that I pronounce and enunciate correctly because I understand the importance of it. And as I've said before, I get a little excited when I start teaching, the adrenaline, the strength of the words, and I just get excited. So I have to slow it down, and the Mvhayvs have told me, slow it down, slow it down. So I try to get each letter and each sound out correctly. So you will see me stop and then I'll kind of back up because I catch myself. And those who are learning the language, I'll just back up and start again. It's not a big deal. So anyway, like I was saying that you couldn't hear me, is I've learned the Mvskoke language coming from more of an academic learning. And there's a couple of Mvhayvs that have done the same. I sit down and I ask questions for the speakers on pronunciation, on some of the sentences that we make. I want to teach you guys correctly and the ones who live the language. I'm not saying that books or academics are wrong, but they may have a different take on everything. So that's why I put this disclaimer up. So like I said, I'm not going to tell anybody that their grandparents, their mother, their father, anybody is wrong. That's just how we are teaching the way we are teaching, and we are teaching in reference, well, I am teaching in reference to how I hear the speaker speak. So I ask them questions, like I said, all the time. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions. I'd rather be in correct no than to teach you guys or mislead you in some way. So I was talking to our manager, Judy, and she said that we can put this disclaimer up there because it made me feel a little bit better, you know, because I hear people asking questions all the time. And like I said, I won't tell anybody they're wrong and their parents or grandparents or how they learned was wrong. It's regional. Even English is not exact. You hear the Southern twang, you hear the Northern dialect, you hear the coast dialect, you hear everything in between. You go to England, they don't spell things right. Seriously though, they spell things a little different, but it's not right or wrong. That's just how that country does it. So like I said, I wanted to put this disclaimer out so you know, we know that there are many ways to say and to write some of the same things. Mvhayv Barnett and myself had a good discussion this morning about they were writing a sentence and there was 8 to 10 ways to say the same thing. So if you see it, you know, and like I've mentioned before, in some of the literature, some of the books, you see it written differently. Broken down into phonetics.
Come here, leave him alone.
These are some of the things that we come across when we're trying to learn language. And you just got to take a little bit from everything and then put it together how it makes sense to you. And then if you have a speaker available, I would just bounce some ideas off of them and you know, get what they have to say, because sometimes the direction that I think that I am learning may not be something that the speakers have learned or know. And I've got to balance what I learned academically to what the speakers who live the language and understand more of the secret ingredient than I do. And I get their take on it. And sometimes they can give a little story as why things are this way or that way. I'm sorry, like I said, that's why this disclaimer is up. Nobody's wrong. We're all trying to get together and to learn how to speak and have a conversation. But that's why this disclaimer is up there. Nobody said anything. I just wanted to clarify that, you know, there are differences out there. Let's see, I'm trying to find. And a lot of the things that I share with you guys are, you know, things that I've learned, and I'm, you know, trying to make it easy for people to grasp the language, because grasping a language is really hard, especially when you, I know, me and this technology, I will get it one of these days. And that's another thing. If you're not in the know on the new technology, that's another thing in itself we're trying to grasp. I love how Mvhayv Eli is able to work with a Canva and then just fluently show this. And I'm still over here with Google Drive and fumbling around, but it works better for me than I tried Canva, and I don't want you guys to be lost in some of the things that I'm trying to do up here. So these are some of the references that we refer back to. Mvskoke Creek Dictionary. I request, you guys make a purchase. I think there's an online version as well. So, you come across something. Can you guys hear me? This is something about the audio. Okay. So if you guys come across something, this is an excellent reference to have, is the Creek Dictionary. And this one as well. The Grammar of Creek Mvskoke. You can buy these on Amazon. You can buy this at Red State Gallery. I think you can also buy it at the Seminole Nation Museum. I would just Google these and find out what works best for you. I know in the past I have gotten some things off of eBay for $5-10. More likely they're secondhand. Mado, Amy. But just
Make sure push it,
these are
Jack
references
Morton.
for you to learn and to know how people grasp the language. I know I was talking to Mvhayv Barnett, and if you've ever read this book, which is the one I'm showing you, it is hard to read it and understand it. And we had a conversation this morning because I was trying to read this, and she said that a lot of the speakers don't understand this because this is written more of a linguistic avenue towards our language. And I don't think Mr. Martin, Jack Martin, I don't think he is a native. So he's coming from a completely different aspect to the Mvskoke language than a speaker who's lived the language their whole life. If you know in history, archaeologists and some of the scientists, they don't have it exact, and sometimes there is no exact way. And Mvskoke language, what I was reading last night, getting prepared for our class, is that it's something in itself where there's not a lot of definites. It could be this way or that way, like I said, regional, dialect. And I just wanted to throw that out to you because I'm also, like I said, I'm learning. So some of the things that I've learned academically, I'm getting to where I'm changing my view on the word order or how to teach you guys. I don't want to teach you a way that is a longer way for you to learn an easy step, if that makes sense. And then one of the things that we went over this morning is I was talking to Mvhayv Barnett because I try to throw everything that I'm going to present to you guys to the speaker so they can, direct me, redirect me, gently nudge me where I need to be nudged. And she was saying, well, you could add this, but it's kind of, and it was just an N or a T at the end of the sentence on some of the things. And she said, but it's kind of confusing and it's not necessary. I was like, okay, not necessary for those of us who are trying to learn the easiest way to get somewhere, but more of the correct way. So now I just kind of have to redirect how I'm trying to show you guys, because like I said, I want to show you guys the easiest way. And if you've ever spoken to an elder, a Mvskoke elder, the Mvskoke people think, I'm not going to say dumb, but they think simpler. But it's not wrong. It's actually brilliant in the way they think and the way they do things, because people think that being busy and doing it a really complicated way is the best way. But if you sit there and think about it, our Mvskoke people have been here for thousands of years, and they know what works best and what doesn't. I'll go back to one of my military stories. So as a military airman, you're all dressed in your blues. You're walking across the base because when you're learning, you have to earn back some of your freedoms. Because you're being taught, you're being molded. And so one of the things that I completely hated was when we were in our military dress blues, you look nice, polished shoes and everything. And I see a building across the way. To me, the most direct route, because they say go the most direct route. To me, the most direct route includes walking on the grass. To me, that made sense. Oh, okay, the creator made the grass so we can walk on it. And so, but in a different mindset, they wanted us to use nothing but the walkways. And so, even though they say direct route, they didn't mean direct route. You still have to go the sidewalks to get to the building right in front of you. You have to go this way, that way. So, that's kind of like the thing about language. Our Mvskoke people had a direct route, an easier, laid back feeling towards a lot of things. And that comes across in the language. It's not wrong. English, you could put a lot of these, does, ands. And sometimes, like Mvhayv Barnett says, you can just know, you can infer this is a dog instead of putting a dog. You're talking about Iva, a dog, and if you're talking about more than one, you could say, more than one, you can use the number like, Hokolin, 2, Hamgin Hokolin, and you're talking about Iva. So that's how you know that there's more than one. And even though there's not a word for many dogs, you're talking about more than one. So like I said, these are simplicities that are brilliant. And we have to get our minds changed from English. I'm going to say 20 words to mean one thing, so anyway, I just wanted you guys to understand that, there are many ways to teach this, there are many ways to write a sentence, and there's not one way, but this is the way I learned, and this is the way I'm constantly learning, trying to find the easiest way to share with you guys, because like I said, I'm on my language journey as well. All right, before we start, does anybody have any questions?
Mvhayv,
Go ahead.
just an observation, as I think I'm starting the second year for language.
All right, Amy, I cannot hear you.
Okay.
Let's see, let's see. I turned the volume up.
Is this working? Is this working?
I can see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you.
Okay. Does this work?
Okay. Melanie can hear you, Amy. Renee can hear you, but for some reason I cannot hear you.
It's okay.
Okay. Let's see if I can find what's going on here. I am not sure what's going on here.
It's okay.
And as you know, I don't know how many of you have had to enroll in Zoom. That might be a Zoom problem. I'm not sure. I had to re-enroll just to see this class and to attend the class. Well, I'm glad you guys can hear Amy. I, for some reason, cannot.
I think we can hear each other.
Not muted.
Yeah, I think that's it, right?
I have no idea what's going on, Amy. I do apologize.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. All right. I can read that. All right. Okay, you can all hear each other. All right.
Yeah.
And you can also hear me, so that's good. But
we can sit and talk.
I have no idea what's going on. I know that we had some issues with the sound before, and I can't figure out what happened because we got it working, and then all of a sudden it just quit working. So I'm not sure what's going on. Let's see. Need to make my name pretty like Amy's butterflies. I know. I try to, when I do my things, I try to put a little bit of pretty in everything. And I know I see Amy's butterfly. They look really beautiful. But Amy, if you can type in there, I for some reason cannot hear you. Can somebody else speak? And let me see if I can hear them as well.
I'm speaking now. I don't think you can.
I think you may be speaking, but I don't see I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
hear
speaking.
anything. No, I see your lips moving, but I
Yeah.
don't, I don't know what's going on today.
Can you hear me?
So I guess today we're gonna have to type in chat.
I can hear you, Melanie.
I was gonna
Okay.
say that, going to say is the language is the heart. Yes, the language is our culture. And that's one of the things that's hard to get across to some people is if you lose your language, you lose your culture because it's more than just words. You have a feeling in the language, you have emotion, you have strength. Yes, you can only learn those not in books. So that's one of the things that I'm coming across is I've learned more academic, but I'm learning more. These classes with you are, but oh, Amy, I'm learning more and I'm trying to share that with you because I'm learning so much from our Mvhayvs, our other speakers. And it's more than just academics. It's the feeling, it's a strength, it's the knowledge that we speak, how our ancestors spoke. And history says savage. I say, that we were far ahead of the game and they couldn't comprehend our forward thinking and spirituality. That's my personal opinion, is we were far ahead of our time. And now time is actually catching up to our native indigenous knowledges. Yes, the Creek grammar book is very hard. And I have studied many languages. It is loved, but made hard. It is. But oh, Amy, it is hard. And I was talking with some of the speakers, and you got to take it as a reference. This is not like the Mvskoke Bible. Everything in there is exactly true. This is from writing from somebody who's observing and talking to certain people, and they might not get the whole of the language in the book, but it's a reference. For those of you who have done reference, done papers, you get references from all over the place, you put it together and you make your paper, because not all of them are true or accurate, 100% accurate. So you have to grab and absorb what they're trying to teach you. All right, so I apologize, we're gonna have to go through without any feedback from you guys or any sound unless you write it down. All right, so I have been asked to look at the camera a little bit more so you can see my mouth when I pronounce things, because we are trying to get that special ingredient of our language, and we're trying to emulate those who speak and hope those who live the language. And if you've ever heard somebody come to the United States and they're learning English, you want, eventually after you talk to them for a couple years, they start getting smoother and you can hear them speaking English a little bit easier. That's where we're trying to get to. And right now I'm not at the very beginning, thank goodness. I'm starting on my language journey, but I'm doing better and I can see it. But we want to get that secret ingredient, that special finesse of the language, the heart and the soul of the language, and not just say words. And that's what I'm trying to convey to you guys, that these classes are more than just words. They are feelings, and you have nasal, you have all of those other linguistic terms for it. All right, missed the first class and wanted to know if the handouts were sent to us or if there are any handouts I can print out. Yes, there are handouts. They are in the Google Drive. I will give you that later. I will put it in the chat. You can go through there and you can print off the handouts. You can print off what we're covering in class. And for me, I try to make like this vocabulary list right here. We're trying to make get to where we can make some simple sentences, which we did in module 1. But these are our new vocabulary words, and I go a little bit slower because sometimes those of us who have 50 years of knowledge before, it's just an overload. So we have to have it sink in a little bit. So I do tend to go a little slower, I know. But repetition, and going slow, it helps me to absorb it. And so I figure there's somebody out there like me who needs a little time to marinate on what we've learned. All right, Amy, Mado. Okay, so this is our vocabulary words, vocabulary. We're gonna do people. We're gonna try to make sentences, and I will show you the infinitives. And we're gonna just make simple sentences, and from there, we're gonna learn to add words and to go a little further. But I just wanted to do it step by step. So let me go ahead and let's see if I can. All right, it's showing on yours. Okay, vocabulary people. Choga hijab, student. Turn this way. Mahaya, teacher. Let me see, let me make sure it's, okay. I got my little notes. Alikcha, doctor. Chupova Odotka, farmer. Notheja, chef. Okay. So I'm having this, like I said, sometimes they get a little long. Ofachija, judge. So, and when I get into these little spots, like you guys will when you're learning, you have to break it down into syllables. Ofachija, judge. And just, and don't be afraid. As long as you're learning, I'm happy. As long as I'm learning, I'm happy. Okay. And Joga Haya. Oh, Joga Haya, secretary. There, my brain was trying to switch to an A, English A, secretary. Istuanaya, policeman. Adotka, Isli Jolki, firemen. And I had man, but it's men, firemen, more than one. Inokolgi Afasta, nurse. So, like I said, I'm still learning. So for me to say these, I know sometimes it's a tongue twister, and I've learned these before in my academics, but if you don't use them every day, your mouth gets used to not, moving in a certain way, and just go and practice. And so when I'm teaching, I'm learning as well, because I'm having to re-practice. If you don't have somebody who you talk to about a farmer, a chef, a judge, a secretary, and saying the Mvskoke words, your mouth is gonna, sometimes your brain will hear it, but sometimes your mouth will be like, oh, wow, okay. The connection needs to be there. So when I do my vocabulary words and my stuff, I like to share with you guys the speaker speaking it. So in the Google Drive, as you hit slideshow, and let me know if you hear this.
Shogahija, student. Mahaya, teacher. Alicha, doctor. Jehovah Adulta, farmer. Notheja, chef. Ofachija, judge. Jogahaya, secretary. Istiwanaya, policeman. Dorka Aslija, farmer. Inokalgi Avasta, nurse.
Right, Mado, see, like I said, I am learning, and I like to go back and I like to try to completely go over it. You hear how I speak. I sometimes get a little choppy, and I tell people training wheels. I still have my training wheels on, but I like that you guys can go back and review and hear the voices of our native speakers, because that's all we're here to do, is try to get to where we hear like we speak like them, and get so smooth, and you feel the rhythm of the language. All right, does anybody have any questions? You've got to type it now. Anybody have any questions? Does that help everybody? All right, you need to hear. All right, Renee says, me too, I need to hear it to be consistent. Yes, and that's one of the things that I came across when I was learning academically, is we would hear it in class, but when we wanted to practice, you go out, you're done with class for the day, it's the evening, you're like, I need to do my homework. Oh, snap, how do I say this? And if you don't have that reference of the audio, it makes it a lot harder to remember and to practice. And so I try to make that available to you guys, so you can go back and practice. And you're not just like left out, okay, there you go, here's the paper, go learn it. Because I know I'm audio, I'm visual, and I need to make sure I do the practice. All right, Mado. So now here are our infinitive verbs. Trying to get on there. There we go. All right, so our Mvskoke infinitives. So these are the ones that conjugate out, and those who were with us in module 1, we had different infinitive verbs. These are another set of 8 infinitive verbs. So we can expand our vocabulary and expand our knowledge. And the infinitives end in ETV, but not all words that end in ETV are infinitives. So, you know, and I made it a little bit easier on the eyes right here. So let's go ahead and I will save them. And then I will play the slideshow and you can hear how a speaker says them. The infinitive verbs: litkeda, to run; nojeda, to sleep; legeda, to sit; kikabeda, to walk; wakeda, to lie; akopanida, to play; obanida, to dance; daskeda, to jump. And I know sometimes I go a little fast. If you need me to repeat anything, just type it in the chat. So let me go ahead and let you hear the differences between, you know, how somebody who's learning says it to how a speaker says it. All right, I don't hear it. Can you guys hear that? No? Okay. Let's try this again. Let me go out. It shows that it's playing. No. All right. I guess technology is not with us today. And I do apologize because I did try this on my computer and it was working. No sound? No? Okay. All right. This will be in the Google Drive. I will try to figure out what's going on. It's one of those days. It's a Wednesday. It's hump day. But like I said, when I present new words, vocabulary words, infinitive verbs, I like to have the speakers speak it so you guys can hear it and you guys can practice. Any time of the night, it'll be available, and I will give you the link in a little bit. But let me go ahead and show you. I know I went over this briefly Monday, but these are our rules, and they are in the Google Drive. I did put them in there. We did go over this in module 1, but let me briefly show you the rules so you can understand them. All right, so here are all of the rules, but let me just go ahead and do the quick version for you guys. So up here, present tense step, we're conjugating in the present what's happening now. Number one step is drop the ETV. Number 2 is elevate the verb stem, lengthen the final vowel of the verb stem. If the final vowel is V, change it to an A, unless it's followed by MK, NK, or T. If it is, leave it a B. The rest of the final vowels get a long mark over it. And like I said, all of this is referenced in this book. So that's where I'm getting that out of. And it's, you know, that's how I learned, and that's how I get to my conjugations. I know that I've seen you know, different conjugations, different ways to do it, but this is how I learned it. So maybe this will help you to have this set of rules to show you. All right, and number 3, add the person marker. I, it's, or nothing. This right here is what I have as a placeholder for nothing, or maybe open and close parentheses. And number 4, add the declarative ending S or ES. And those are our steps. The book is that hard? Yes, this book is really hard. Ask Amy. She was commenting about that. This book is really hard. But these are what I've learned in my in college. I went to CMN and I went to a college in Oklahoma, by Oklahoma City. And this is how I learned it. And if you see right here, the third person does not have a person marker. You just know if it doesn't have the I or the it's third person, which means he, she, he, they, or it in the singular. And I'm just presenting all of this to you, so maybe it'll help you to understand conjugation and how to conjugate. And like I said, I broke it down, and I always like to use my humbida to eat, because we all eat. We all have that in common. And that, for some reason, that's my
Humbida.
favorite word. But so if you look at the rules, the first thing we do is we have to find the verb stem. We drop the ETB, we drop the ida, and we get the verb stem. You lengthen the final vowel, which is the O, so you put a long mark over the O. Right here, you add the person marker. Since we're talking about first person, it's I. That's why we add the I. And then S, add the declarative marker, which means am, are, is, and it is also the period. So right here, you have the verb stem. You've got the I, the A sound, A. But it is I, it's the A sound for Mvskoke. And the S for the declarative ending, am, are, is. It also means the period. So you went from humbida to eat, home base. Home base. I am eating. So this is a complete sentence. And the breakdown is you can see where everything comes into play. You can see the verb stem. You can see the person marker, and you can see the declarative ending. All right, started late. How can I get to Google Drive? Let's see. All right, let me see if I can get you the Google Drive link, since we are already in here, so we shouldn't be able. Okay, there you go. Should be it. Like I said, I'm not only learning the language, I'm learning the technology. I mean, I'm not trying to date myself, but you know, all of this cool technology is awesome when it works. When it works correctly. Let me put it that way. There you go. Oh, goodness. And I'm not as tall as some of the other Mvhayvs, so I've got to use this wand. Somebody asked me, and of course, I don't know if you've been around some of the native people, but man, they will tease the heck out of you just because that's the native way. So I'm always getting teased about my height. So even by some of my family, I'm like, my goodness, guys. They were like, why are you so small? I said, because God made me at this height for perfection for me. I said, I can be seen when I want to, and I can hide when I need to. But sometimes when, you know, your makeup's not on, your hair is a mess, you just don't want to talk to anybody, I can go in a room and nobody realizes I'm there. But then, you know, if I want to be seen, then, oh, you'll know I'm there. I always liken myself to, and I always tell my kids this, I always liken myself to a hobbit. You can be seen when you want to, and you can disappear in the crowd when you need to. But we watch a lot of television, so you can kind of tell what we watch. This is not let me copy for some reason. Let me see. Come on, there we go. Copy. Oh, it moved. All right, let's try this again. All right. All right, that should be it. Woo! Much I gotta pat myself on the back for that one. It was not wanting to copy for me. All right, and if you notice, I like to do everything with Lila smiles and laughs and giggles, because you know I gotta make myself happy. But I gotta make myself happy, and I'm like, I'd rather be happy than not happy. Anyway, okay, let's go on. So from humbida to home base, here's a different breakdown. And like I said, I try to present it in a different way. So if you don't catch it one way, maybe you'll catch it in another. And I'm following our rules. You see humbida to eat. You've got your verb stem. got your person marker, and you got your declarative ending. So you've got home base, home base. And that is a complete sentence. So you see the Mvskoke translation. You see the literal English translation, eating I am. And you see the translation into modern English is I am eating. And some people say that our Mvskoke language is backwards, but I don't believe that. You know, how many thousands of years? I don't think we could be backward. I think we just too progressive for the current environment, should I say. All right, let's see. And here's another breakdown on home base. And this is how we conjugate. And the reason why I'm going over this is because I'm going to show you how to conjugate. And I'm going to try the touchscreen pencil. So we'll see how that goes. It worked in practice, so we'll see. Home base, home base, home base. Remember the P's got the B sound, home base. All right, I'm trying to slow it down. I know I get excited, home base. So you actually get to see what each part of this means. Eating, you see where the person marker comes in, I, and you see where the declarative ending am is. Translation again, home base. Eating, I am eating. This is a lot of review right now that we're doing, but sometimes we have to review to go forward, and that's what I'm working up to right now. All right. Oh, there's a question. All right, if you have to go back to work, this is going to be on the YouTube. Mvskoke Opanaga, I think that's the name of it, and it'll be there, so it'll be recorded. But for coming. All right, so let me see if I can break one of these down for you guys so we can do it in real time. All right, so if you see the infinitive verbs that we have for today, and here we go, the ones that I just showed. So I'm going to go ahead and try and conjugate one of these for you. So lift it up, L-E-T. A-E-T-G, lift it up. All right. So you see lift it up, and by our present tense steps that we have, you drop the ETB. And so you're left with the verb stem. The verb stem. L-E-T-K. And the next step is to L-grade the verb stem. So the L-grade would be right there. You L-graded the verb stem, you made it long, you lengthened the final vowel of the verb stem. The next step is add the person marker. So just drop that down here to the next step. You add your person marker. So we're talking about I. Because we're talking about I am doing something. You drop it down. And I have to do this in steps because it helps me to maintain where I'm at. So you see that the I is a vowel. So you're not going to create a diphthong, which are two vowels next to each other. So we're just going to add the S virgin instead of the ES. Liedjes. Liedjes. So this is run. So right here, running. I am. And then English translation would be I am running. Okay, somebody could not hear for a few seconds. All right, I'm not sure what's going on with the sound, but according to our rules for conjugating, which is in module 1, but I also put it in this week, so you can download it and go through each step. Had litkeda, litkeda. And you did the first step, you drop the ETV. The second step right there is you L grade it, so you put the line over the E. And the next step, the third step is you add your person marker, which was the I. right here in the I. And you drop it down even further, and then you add a declarative ending with S or ES. And S or ES plus this, a period. So it translates to running, I am, and English translation is I am running. All right, somebody's got to go back to work. Mvhayv for coming. But this is the breakdown when we talk about conjugation. And that's why I showed you the steps, how I got from home to home base. This is how we conjugate in the present tense, simple sentence present tense. There are many other conjugations like future, past, but right now we are still concentrating on simple present tense because we are still trying to make our simple sentences. So did that help anybody to show you in real time what exactly is going on? All right, let me show you one more before we go to sentences. That's an I. That's an I. Let me clear. Lay it up. To sit. To sit. All right, so we're going to conjugate this one, and you go by the steps, but this is our infinitive verbs. The first thing we do is we drop the ETV on our steps. Drop the ETV, you L-grade the verb stem. So go down here and you L-grade the verb stem. So that would be it. Then the next step is you add your person marker. Your person marker L is I, because we're talking about I, what you're doing right now. You add the declarative ending. And the reason why you add S instead of ES, because in that, if you added ES, that would have two vowels together, create a diphthong. And we don't do that in the Mvskoke language. We don't intentionally create diphthong. There are some words that have a diphthong, like Hopwidagi is the UE right next to each other, but we don't intentionally create diphthong. So legis. So you go into sit, to sit, sitting, I am. Sitting, I am. I am sitting. So that's how on our steps we get from to sit to I am sitting. Does anybody have any questions before I go on? So what I asked you to do is in your spare time, if you can get the steps and you can use some of our infinitive verbs, you can sit there and practice and go step by step from everything that I have in our Google Drive. You will be able to refer back to, and this will help you learn how we get into conjugation, how we get from step to step. But you know, doing part of it and sitting down and just trying to make sentences, that's the best way you're gonna learn everything. I know when I hear the Mvhayvs, I can speak better if I practice before making a sentence, because that's how I learn. Some people can pick it up audio a little bit easier, and I seem to be the kind where I have to write these sentences out and practice that in order to do really well when I'm talking, when I'm speaking our Mvskoke language. So I want to make sure that I'm speaking correctly. All right. Let's go back to that. So since we, our simple sentences, and that's one of the things I went over in the beginning of the class, was we have learned how to do simple sentences and we learned how to conjugate. So this is one of the simple sentences that we learned in module 1. These are a lot of the simple sentences. And these were our vocabulary words at the time. So you can see how I heard Mvhayv Eli yesterday, and I sit in all the Mvhayv's classes, so I can still learn. And then I can understand a little bit more, because we're all learning, and even Mvhayv Barnett says that she's still learning, and she's our first speaker. But you know, things come up, automobile, computer, there's always things to learn, and the language is a lifetime of learning. You can't just take 6 weeks, a couple of years of Mvskoke and think you're going to be proficient and you know, you're just going to go out there and burst out Mvskoke. Some people found it easier when they were able to sing some of the hymns, how they would learn. So, you know, people learn in different ways. So here is the simple sentences that we had gone over and we have made from conjugating. And you see, this is the first person because ayes is I am going. And from what I found out, or I now know, is, you know, our infinitive verbs are at the end of the sentence. I didn't know that before. That was a cool moment to go like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. So anyway, Mvskoke Chogo is a church. Ayes, I am going. So ayes, I'm sorry, ayes, because the I's got the A sound, ayes, I am going to church. So ayes is I am going. Church is Mvskoke Chogo. And then daklegi, ayes, sorry, ayes, because you got the sound for the A, ayes. Daklegi, ayes, I am making bread. Waga busy daklegi, ayes. I am making cheese, ayes. And if you get mixed up like I do sometimes, you just go through the alphabet and you think of our Mvskoke sounds alphabet, for A, instead of the A sound, A in English, So sometimes, like I said, I have to backtrack and I have to get back on you know, speaking Mvskoke, because our brains are so hardwired, sometimes it seems, to English, and like the I, in English is I, but in Mvskoke it's A. So like I said, I have to backtrack at times. And it's not a big deal, just do it. And as long as you don't stop learning the language, you know, you're continuing, even if it's at a snail pace, you're going forward. So the next one is Mvskoke ayes. Ayes. I am making great dumplings. Ilokwa mises. I am buying gum. Ilokwa mises. Benwa mises. I am buying turkey. Aji mises. I am buying corn. All right. And the next set of simple sentences, and this is also in the first person, and you can see right here, it's got the I. And that's how you know it's first person. So seeing it, and now you know how we get from conjugated, humbeda, humbes. You can see the correlation, and then now you know you can add some things on to make a simple sentences like humbes, I am eating, and then you put fry bread. Daklek sakmovki. Daklek sakmovki. I know your tongue gets involved a lot in that pronunciation, so it does come with a lot of practice. Daklek sakmovki humbes. Chadahaga humbes. We did have a question on blue bread. The name for Mvskoke blue bread is chadahaga. That's why you don't see the word blue in there. So chadahaga humbes. A busky iskes. Iskes. A busky iskes. I am drinking corn drink. Wagabizi iskes. Iskes. I am drinking milk. All right. Forgot, how do you say the apostrophe? I don't know. I did it one time, but I don't know. I think you can. I think it might be in the dictionary. I know one direction was accente grave, and the other one was accente something else. But I know it has a name for it. I don't know exactly what the name of that apostrophe is. I don't recall. We can look it up. All right. And then Dolosi Hijes. Dolosi Hijes. I am seeing chicken. And you know it's a chicken. Or if it was saying, you know, like you would say a number Rochinin, 3 chickens, so you know then it would be more than one, but that's like I said, situational. And Mvskoke is really simple and really direct. And they don't put a lot of filler words into, from what I understand, and from what I've seen. Ito Hijes, I am seeing a tree. That's why we were talking about, you know, these kind of things are inferred. Oglegida Hijes, I am seeing a chair. Mvskoke Opanaga Kipis. I am learning Mvskoke language. And like the other one, I'm hoping this works. All right. I'm guessing you don't hear that. It's supposed to be the speaker speaking it. Let me know if you can hear it. But I don't hear it on my end. Does anybody hear that? All right. Anyway, I will have it in the Google Drive with the audio attached. It was there earlier, and for some reason things are not working as they should. But it's a Wednesday. It's tired. So that's the first person. Let's go ahead and briefly do some of the second and the third person, so we can get that in before the end of class. And so you can right here. This is a Ayitskis. Ayitskis. Ayitskis is you are going. You are going. So conjugate it out. You just, the only thing that changes in our rules is step 3. Since we're not talking about I am doing something, we're talking about you are doing something. It would be it's. E-T-S-K. It's. Mvskoke Jugo Ayitskis. You are going to church. And I was talking to one of the Mvhayvs this morning, and she said that sometimes she doesn't teach this part, but I think if we're doing because you know what you're doing, you're making bread, but I'm like, I think I'll teach it, because sometimes when you have younger ones, you have children, and they're like, they like to tell you things, and because they're learning. You are going to church because you're getting on your nice dress or your nice hat or your nice shoes, or it's Sunday, or you were making bread, and they're practicing. So I think it's you don't necessarily say these sentences, but it's good to know. It's good to know what can be out there and how to conjugate. So, Daklegi Hayitskis, you are making bread. Waga busy, Daklegi Hayitskis, Hayitskis. You see that? I switch back to English. Hayitskis. Sometimes, like I said, your brain will switch. Because it's like she, e, so that's what we're looking for. Hayitskis. Bathko afti Ayitskis. You are making grape dumpling. Pilokwa Nisitskis. You are buying gum. So you can see the it's in that word that means you. You, like on this one, you are making. You are making cheese, you're making grape dumplings. That's how we know it's the second person sentence, because you've got the it's, E-T-S-K. All right, like I said, I'm going to go to the next one so we can get through to the third person. Here is third person simple sentences. And these will have the audio with it. I have to probably refresh and then reattach it, but you can hear the speaker speaking this when you practice later on. She is going to church. You see right here that there is no I and there's no it. So in between the Y and the E is nothing, because there's nothing for third person. There's no holder, there's no I, there's no it's. in my notes, you will see on here, I have a placeholder, so whenever we do our steps, you will not skip a place for the third person. I think that's good for those of us who need the training wheels at the moment, but I'm getting to where I don't need them so much, but I leave it in just in case somebody is not quite where I'm currently at. Like I said, we're all moving forward at a different pace, but you know, as long as you're going forward. Daklegi, ayes, ayes. You got the ayes. He is making bread. Waga busy daklegi, ayes. She is making cheese. Bafko afki, ayes. She is making great dumplings. He lokwa, nieces. They are buying gum. That's how you know that these sentences are third person. And in the third person, and at the very first one, Mvskoke chugo, ayes, ayes. She is going to church. I put she. It could be he. It could be it. They can be they instead of she, because the third person is he, she, it, or they. And I just chose these to show you guys, but it could be he, she, it, or they are going to church, is going to church. And that's the thing in third person is you've got to make that determination when you're writing or when you're talking. You know, if you're talking to somebody and you're talking about somebody in third person, you know whether you're talking about a male or female, you know, a kitten, a puppy, or whatever. So you got to know situational. Let me see if this one is attached or if it's playing. No, it doesn't sound like it's playing anything. But like I said, I will reattach the audio to it. It was working before class. But all right, so this is just an overview of what we have started in module 1. We're just expanding our vocabulary with the Mvskoke infinitive verbs. There are so many infinitive verbs. I'm not going to throw them all at you at once. We did 8 last time. We're doing 8 this time. We're going to try to start making our sentences because we know the steps to conjugate. Like I said, the only thing that changes in the conjugation are step 3, the person marker. Whether you're talking about I am doing something, you are doing something, or they, or he, she, it are doing something. So first, second, and third person. And like I said, the reason I go a little bit slower is sometimes we need that repetition so we don't forget. And then we move on to the next steps. So if anybody has any questions, just type it in to the chat. But I think we've learned a lot. We've gone through a lot. You've got our vocabulary right here. And these are what we're going to be making our sentences from, is this vocabulary. And like I said, we've got the new infinitive verbs. I'm going to come up with some more sentences, and then we can just add on to that. If anybody has any questions, just type it in the chat, and I will, after the class, I will figure out what's going on with the board. Last time it needed some kind of update, so we had to stop everything and update. But Mado, I'm glad everybody was able to make it, and I will see those of you guys who are going to attend on Friday. It's a different Zoom number, and I will be refreshing on what we learned on Monday. And then what we learned today, it's just going to all be condensed on Friday. It's from 6:30 to 7:30, a different Zoom link. I will be having a hybrid class in person and on Zoom. So, all right. So if you guys, want to attend or want to refresh, I will be here on Friday on Zoom. And if you want to attend, if you're in Oklahoma, it's in Oklahoma City, the Mvskoke Resource Center in person. And it's a different feel. So, all right. If I don't have any questions, I'm going to say, Hadam, Jihi Chagah, please. I learned that I was only saying it to one person. Now I know that it's a different word for many people. All right, man. But Amy. All right, somebody has their hand raised. Just type it in the chat. I can't hear anything for some reason. Just type your question or anything in the chat. The YouTube link one more time is Mvskoke Opanaga. Let's see if I can get on that right here. I'm not sure if I can. do it here. See if I can share it with you guys. But, see, that is our link right here, our YouTube Mvskoke language. And these are all of the lessons that are available. They are on YouTube. So just go to YouTube and type in Mvskoke Okanaga. They're there. Like I said, recording of this class will be there. And you will be able to review it. All right. So if, no other questions. See you guys, if not Friday, Monday.